Hey, welcome to the Storytime with Ellie podcast. And today's guest, we have a smart, gifted lady. She's a spiritual teacher, helps people unlock their potential and create life filled with purpose and meaning. She has a background in everything from astrology to Reiki. She brings a unique blend of knowledge and experience to her work, guiding others to connect with their intuition and embrace their spiritual gifts. Let's welcome Elisa Hancock.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome,
thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And yes, and when I was reading your bio, amazing, amazing. Some of your stories and gifts that you have. And let's start. Let's start. What made you start doing this psychic medium teaching? What brought that to you to start doing that?
Yes, well, what started is um, that have had these experiences since I was a very young kid.
Mm,
Of course, you know, as for many other like me, you don't really realize things as they're happening, especially when you're young, unless you have somebody to guide you, right, to understand what's going on and what's happening. So I was lucky enough that I had my grandmother to teach me some things, which definitely helped me, um, feeling good about um, feeling connected or
hmm
sensing things, dreaming about things, etc. Um, and so that basically started off like that, almost like a natural happening, right?
So yes, it was learned in the home, basically. Your grandmother
Yes,
educated you and opened your eyes to this gift, so to speak.
Right. Yes, I
hmm
think that because, well, my family is a little bit like that,
hmm
most of my family at least. And so
hmm
I think that she probably saw something that she had as well.
hmm
And I was, yeah, lucky enough that she gave me, a few pointers here and there. Um, and then actually it took me a long while eventually to realize that that's my purpose, and that's the thing that makes me happy and makes me feel like I'm doing my part in the world. Uh,
hmm
it took me some time because I spent a few years kind of just keeping everything mostly for myself or my closer friends, I would say.
hmm
Mm. But then finally, I think it was 2022. I was already working a lot, like with the Akashic Records, which is, another way to work through intuitive stuff and help people with their purpose. But I was doing like maybe more like hypnosis
Okay. hmm
to help my clients, etc. Yes, but then in 2022, I kind of had this feeling that there was something missing and that I
hmm
to go back to who I am actually. And so that started a bit of a journey in uncovering things that I had kind of covered myself. And then, well, one day I had an experience when I was at my acupuncturist office, and that basically triggered the realization that was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And this is what really makes me happy.
That was great because a lot of times we don't ever, it doesn't happen that fast. It's not a quick switch. And we go on years trying to figure out what our
Oh, I
purpose is.
did.
And some of us don't ever find it. And
Yes,
so
I
you're
know.
very fortunate that you did and in that way.
It took me
Yeah.
it took me some, because I would say that probably when I started, it was maybe around 2011 that I
hmm
started questioning, the path that I was on, and realizing that it was not, it didn't really have a heart, that path. It didn't really feel complete. And
Mm.
so I started, working and searching and going deeper and healing deeper. And it took me some time from
Okay, so
then.
you were working then. I mean, you said you learned this from your grandmother, and you learned this from her, but then you grew up and you went and got, I don't want to say a regular job, but you were working a regular job. Not,
Well, yeah, I went because I've always been fascinated and
yeah.
always asking myself what I'm here
Hmm.
for. So I started studying by myself astrology, and then I did like a Reiki course when I was in my 20s. That back then that was not that common. And then I was reading cards for my friends.
Okay.
I was doing channel writing. I was doing a lot of things already, but also
Mm,
I was very interested in arts, and so I did some. I worked in theater a little bit. I
okay.
did some music, and then I would have like sort of like side jobs, and so that lasted a little while, right? Before I finally realized that what I had been doing to help my friends and even like strangers that would just come up to me and ask me questions.
Hmm.
That was the thing that I felt called to.
Mm,
And,
fascinating.
yeah, you have to go through a lot of layers of,
So then when you realized you were doing this and this was the path you were taking and now you're teaching other people to do this to bring out their own gifts. So
in a
correct.
way, yes, yes. I definitely help them to recognize them first, becoming aware of who they are on a more, I would say, expanded level, right?
Mm-hmm. Because that's important.
Uh,
A lot of people
yeah.
have that. They want to explore it, but don't know how to do that.
Start, absolutely, yes.
So you're a teacher. Good. Hmm.
And
Nice.
then I mean, yeah, I don't teach mediumship yet, but I do teach how to connect with your intuition and to, learn to actually really be in touch with your soul and be
Mhm.
guided by
That's
your soul
important.
as
Yeah.
opposed to, right. And yes, I don't know what I was saying.
That's all right. We just talk anyway. We just yap. But no, you're great. This is interesting. And I'm always, when I'm listening to you, I'm hear what you're saying, but I'm also trying to pull out like, okay, this is what you do. You're a teacher, because that's what we had you have kind of with your teacher and you help people, but it's like how you do it. And so people want to connect to you. I think it's a good, oh, listen, I want to learn a little bit about myself and my intuition. Let's, connect with Elisa and maybe she can help us. And even if it's just the start of them discovering their own intuition, obviously you probably can't hold their hands through the whole, because I'm sure it takes a while for them to develop this.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
definitely a process, but
Mm,
I do both, I do the work to help somebody. Sometimes, they already know, but
mm-hmm,
they don't see it fully. They don't
mm,
see, they don't believe it. They don't trust it. And so I think that already supporting them in becoming aware that what they know it's true and
mm,
it's valid, it's a very big part of it. And then I also work, with the confidence piece.
mm,
And I have my clients tend to come to me over the years because
mm-hmm.
we keep on working as we address different layers. And that can happen, both with like messages that come, from the other side, that come from their guides. And it happens also like when working on specifically on like addressing energy blocks.
Mm.
Many times, they result into your mindset blocks in the way that you think about yourself and your possibilities. So I do work on both levels, I would say.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. And it's, of course, as you said, it's a job that continues because we are always
Yeah.
evolving and there are many times new layers to
Hmm.
address. And, you just have to keep on going.
Would you be able to give us an example, either yourself or one of your, I'm going to call them clients,
Mhm.
that where you can actually see where it helped them grow into something more like when they came to you and they wanted to learn this? And could you actually, do you have any stories on that? Like,
Yes, I have a few stories.
yeah,
Maybe.
that's what, it's cool.
Let
Hmm.
me think. So, well, one of my longtime clients, for example, she started working with me in 2015, I would say.
Hmm.
And she came to me with, feeling scattered with her possibilities. She was doing something, but she wasn't loving it. She's a very creative and crafty person. She
Hmm.
loves food, but she was working like she had I think, a fruit stand at the moment, and she was
Hmm.
feeling very lost. She was aware that she had like the ability to manifest stuff, but it was very inconsistent, and she would not trust herself, and she would fall back over and over in a fear state, and so she would block everything. And so we started working together, and little by little she cleared up um, what her real I would say aspiration was.
Hmm.
And we started working more specifically with like food catering, for example.
Okay.
um, yeah. And well, in the process, because it's been a lot of years, she was able like to sell a house that she had on her back, and she wasn't able to release it. So we worked at aligning her energy into,
Mm.
being able to actually let go of the home and make the money that she needed. She created a restaurant together with her husband,
Wow.
dropped out of his job, and they finally created something together. And out of that, they created a catering business. And now she is as busy as she could be with weddings and all sort of things. And like we keep on working over the years,
Nice.
right? Addressing level of fears or, moments where she's not listening to herself. Because usually, if we're in fear, we're definitely not doing a good job in listening to our own guidance. And so,
Mm.
we need just sometimes to reassess the level and be able to be connected again and listen, right?
Yes, interesting. So it sounds like then we have a block, right? We
Yes.
all have a block,
Yeah.
and it's holding us up from where we should be. So
Yeah.
by learning these techniques that you provide or help teach, you could remove these blocks and kind of open up and channel what you should be doing. Kind of, is this what we're kind of?
Yes. I
I'm
would
just trying to.
not push it to the channeling, because the channeling, I think, is a word that is being honestly used too much these days,
Well, that's how
and
we know it
not,
as layman's.
not appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, but yes, as you work on your fears and also learn, right? I would say the different aspects,
Mm.
because we're complex. Okay, we're just not what we think we are on the surface. There are a lot of currents within us that kind of want to go against what we want. And then
Mm.
there's a part of us, our soul, that is pulling us to,
Mhm.
take the next step, get out of the comfort zone, challenge ourselves and not be so fearful and take
Mhm.
towards what we want. And many times, of course, it's a process, and I do not teach one technique, but I help my clients become able to recognize, when is the fear speaking, when is the higher self speaking, and it becomes easier and easier to stay in flow. And of course, sometimes you just need the external help, because we all have blind spots, even the people that, like have been doing this work for a very long time.
Mhm.
We're human. We have blind spots and we need
Oh, yeah.
other people's help. But sometimes the clients that I have might be more, intuitively attuned themselves.
Mhm.
They might be having gifts that they are ready to share with other people to actually help them, right? So
Mm.
I do work also with, sensitive people, intuitives, and other healers. And the process is more or less the same. Sometimes it's just what gets addressed, and maybe I would say the energy at play that is different.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. And wow. So let's just see here. Go back. What else could we circle with you about your do you have another story to that you would like to share with us? Because
Mm,
we
Um,
learn a lot from your stories and it's able for people to understand,
oh, I
who you
agree.
are, right? And what you're bringing and what we I mean, it's a gift. And if you could help people bring out their own gift and help them prosper and move forward, whether it be a career or a relationship,
Yeah,
I
of course.
mean, yeah, so that's a lot. So I know you have another story you want to tell
Yeah,
us.
I know. I do actually. Yeah, so. Okay, one time, not recently, I gave a reading to this lady. I think she lives in Bulgaria, I would say.
Mm.
And she was looking for her life purpose. I
Mm.
did not know her. I had no idea who she was. So in the reading, during the reading, I focused on finding out, the information that can be useful. So it's never just like saying, "Oh, you will become this and that," but just really, first of all, looking at the gifts of the person. And it became right away clear to me that she was a spiritual teacher, that she could write, and that she definitely had the, how can I say, the possibility, right, to become somebody who leads other in their own self-understanding. And so when I started telling her all of this, she was blown away, and she told me that she already wrote a book. And that she's always felt like that was her purpose, right? To transmit this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge
Mhm.
that she has. But basically, she never really took it, I would say, maybe seriously, right?
Mhm.
Mm, she was afraid of taking the next steps. And when she told me that, I was like, well, you already have it. And like a lot of information came in, has to, guide her. Like, these are the next things you need to do to connect with the right people, and, to the places where you should be going, right? And she was so happy because she knew she wrote the book, she had people like it. She was giving away the book because she was really wanting to help anyone she could, but she was missing this part where she wanted to do more and did not believe it fully. And like the messages that came through for her helped her basically kind of straighten up, right?
Mhm.
And so she started finally taking it more seriously and reaching out to bookstores and following along with the guidance that came in for her. So,
Mm.
sometimes we are already there. We even have the tools in our hands,
I
but
was
we
going to
are.
ask you, that was coming next, was what tools would you recommend to help too? Do you, yeah, I don't want to jump over the thing, but you mentioned tools. Do you use any tools to help guide with your guidance? Do you use cards? Do you use pendulums? Do you
Oh,
do,
I see.
or do you just do it intuitionally with people?
Yes, I sometimes pull a card if I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a visual aid can help the.
Right.
So sometimes I do that just because, and I do really as I feel guided.
Mm.
So yeah, card is something that I use. Sometimes I use a little bit of numerology, but it actually comes. So
Okay.
I start from my connection and my intuition, and I just basically let the guides and whoever the spirit, what I call the spiritual team that's supporting the person, tell me
Yeah.
she needs
We
this, she needs that, or
you
you
brought
know.
that up, and we did speak about that on another podcast about our spiritual guides that we all have.
Yeah.
And how do you reach out to yours? Do you reach out to them in any way? Do you do it through prayer, or how do
Um,
you? They're
well,
there. It's just
yeah,
how do we connect them? Do you can't pick up a call? We can't pick up the phone
they're
and say pick up.
they're always there for us. They're always there for us. I think everyone needs to approach it according to their level of comfortableness.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is not a straight way, some people maybe sit down and really channel, but I think you have to know what you're doing to make sure that you're channeling the right guidance. See what I mean?
Mm.
But they're to help us. That's what we all signed up for, to come in. Like, it's like having the spiritual friends, right, that are here to help us go through our lessons. And so even just by, well, meditation is a great tool to receive guidance, and also asking for signs. So that's something that I do often, right?
Mm.
Especially when there is something that is very important to me. And I think that when something is very important, we are so involved that it's hard to be clear, right?
Exactly, because it blocks us, our I don't know how you want to say it, our inner wisdom or our thoughts and what we processed or what we went through block some of this, so we can't hear it and we can't
Because we have a
see
lot
it
of
or just
expectations. And
right.
so, right, or fears, or what if,
And
you
it's
know,
funny, yeah, and it's funny that you said you look for signs, and we do that so often. We'll ask a question on something like, "Oh my God, show me a sign that this is the right direction or this is that." But
yeah,
you
yeah.
look, and maybe we're being shown, but we're like, "I don't think I saw anything."
Yeah, sometimes we, we are so, maybe we're freaking out and
Yeah.
we risk to miss it. But, like our spirit guides will really go out of their way, and so will our soul, to let us know that something is right or not.
Mm.
Uh, so this is something that I teach also when, like I talk about intuition with my students. That is, we want to make sure, a spiritual message will never come through with the feeling of fear. So that
Mm.
is something that can help us understand, no, this is just my mind freaking out. This is not real guidance. Because guidance really comes straightforward and simple, definitely not creating any ripple of fears in us,
Yeah,
but
and it doesn't come from the brain.
awareness.
Isn't it a feeling that comes from inside? It's a different
Yes.
feeling when you
Yeah.
receive this. Yeah,
Sometimes, if you're attuned to your body, you might feel it in your body more. So it could be
right.
like a feel, for example,
Yeah.
or it could be like a sense of wanting to walk away from something or
Hmm.
someone. And so if you listen to your body, that is your intuition speaking to you.
Gotcha.
Where
Yeah.
your mind will always try and scare you out of things. And that
Right.
is definitely not guidance usually.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, and that's a good teaching point right there to teach people how
Yeah.
to recognize
Yeah. I think
your own
that's
intuition.
it's very
Totally get it.
important. Mhm.
And you also mentioned, circling around here,
Yeah,
you also mentioned you're Italian.
I am.
And has your culture heritage influenced anything you in your spiritual beliefs or practices? Do
Oh,
you
for sure.
believe?
Yes, for sure. So I am not religious, but I've always been very spiritual. And I know
Hmm.
that I do believe and feel, in the, how can I say, the spiritual power of Jesus, for example, or,
Hmm.
the Virgin, or so I definitely have that sort of background in a sense,
Hmm. Yep.
but I am not, like sticking to religious dogma in any
Yeah,
way.
it's a wider picture. I get it. Hmm.
Right. Also, I think that, yeah, probably, my family being very connected and open. And as I said before, it's something that runs in the family, so to speak. And so, um, we definitely have an approach to spirituality that is more typically, I guess, Italian than,
Yeah, I
uh,
know. I'm Italian.
how are you?
And I know this is your podcast, but it's so I'm listening to you and I'm thinking because my family is the same way. My
Hmm.
mom,
Okay.
we got it from my mom's side.
Yeah,
And it's
see,
very similar, but that's all I'm going to tell you. So I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, I know. Right? Yeah. But when growing up, we didn't feel that, right? Growing up, it was like, we didn't like when my mother said something because we'd say she like hexed us or jinxed us because she knew, but we didn't say she was psychic or she knew to our intuition to us, like, oh, we don't want to hear it from her because she's always saying it. She's always right.
I
That's how,
know.
as kids, we grew up. But then until we got older and realized, wait a minute, we're the same way.
Right, exactly. Yeah, my daughter is like that with me sometimes. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, don't tell me," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm not gonna." And then she's like, "Okay, you were right." And
Yeah, yeah, it's a tug. It's definitely growing up. That's why I related
yes,
to that when you said it. It's funny.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Um, wow. So, what else would you like our listeners to know about you? Anything
Um,
else that we missed? I mean, we got a
well,
lot going on here.
I think that yeah, I think that the mediumship part is something that it's very important to me, very dear to my heart, because I know that it's not just, knowing that your loved ones are good on the other side and that they love you. There is so much more to it. Mediumship really has helped me helped me actually like heal the relationship with my father, for example.
Mm,
Even if he's been passed now for 8 years.
mm,
And I got into a better relationship with him now than I had, when he was alive.
mm,
And I think also on a bigger, like bigger level, on a higher level, it can really help us also realize that there is so much more to life and that what we do here matters. Our choices that we do daily matter.
mm.
Because, life doesn't end. We continue on and we continue learning. And so that's how I think this can help also understanding that we are on a journey to, do fun things and be successful and all the things you want, but also we are here to go through our lessons and grow spiritually on a soul level.
Very
And I think
nice.
that the
Interesting.
medium part.
So you said you're a median as well? You do
Yeah.
mediumship.
Mhm.
No, that can be quite different. Do you- how do you control that? Meaning, when you're in
When you
mediumship, they say a lot of times you can attract, say, spirits or from trying to come through you to speak. How do you shut that off? It's not, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit of a misconception that
Okay.
psychic and mediums like they're open all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
You
You got to shut
know,
the door. Yeah.
yeah, we already have our lives to deal with, and
Yeah.
day by day, and all the things, and you learn. I think if really you are having unpleasant experiences, that's one of the things to learn to say, no, pretty much like you say to people. So you got to grow your boundaries. That's what I'm trying to say, and
Yeah.
become aware of it.
Now, do you believe that we could all t talk to our deceased loved ones somehow?
I think in a way, yes. Meaning that, they many times, like especially when somebody passes suddenly, or like in the first period after somebody passes and we're grieving so much, and they're
Mm,
really suffering with us because they would, in a way they would like to let us know I'm good, I'm here, I'm happy, many times.
mm,
I'm feeling good, I'm with you, I love you, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what, like the mediumship readings sessions that I do, and even like
okay.
group, that's what's been shown to me over and over, that they are around us and they try to give us signs pretty much like the guides. I
Mm,
remember now I feel like I have to share this piece. One time I was doing a group reading and there was this young boy that kept on coming and wanting to say something about himself. And so I kept on asking, I have a young boy of this age, he looks like this, and nobody would take it in the beginning. And so I kind of had to set him aside and go on. And then towards the end, it came again. So I had, okay, so this boy is still here. You sure nobody really can take it?
mm.
And then this one was like, wait a second, I think he's the son of one of my clients.
Oh, wow.
And I got chills right away. And I started saying, this boy is telling me that he's moving things around on this like dresser. He's moving things around
Oh,
uh,
God,
to
no. Stay
get
out of my
the,
house.
to get the attention of his mom to let her know that he's with her and that he loves her and that he's okay. And this woman was like, oh my gosh, my client had just been telling me the other day that she keeps on finding the little trinkets moved around.
Oh, my
Started
gosh. Oh, I got
wondering
chills.
if that was her son. And I was like, yes, exactly. And like, and this was amazing because
I got
that's
chills from that. Oh, my
that's
gosh.
how, sometimes
Mm,
ones are
power.
really trying just to tell us, I'm here, I'm with you, I love you. Or, um, and yeah, maybe not everybody can go to the point where they can have like a full conversation, and exchanging words because
I mean,
mediumship,
that would have more service than AT&T or Verizon put together. If people
what's
can just
that?
talk to talk to their deceased family members, they'd be like every day trying to talk to say something. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. And they are around us. And it's pretty much like with the guides, if you decide to kind of tuning in someone you miss, and even just by talking, to them and say, I love you, I miss you, I'm sorry you're not here with me. They love it. They really love to be remembered and to know that you're thinking about
interesting.
them.
Mm.
And that's how you actually can start a conversation, meaning,
Okay.
maybe just little sign like, I don't know, like if you guys together loved, I don't know, a certain kind of ice cream. I don't know why now I feel like saying ice cream. Maybe you go out and you see like an advertisement of that ice cream. And it's like,
Mm.
a way for spirit to let us know I'm here, I'm thinking of you, all is good, I'm with
Very
you.
nice.
Yeah.
So you know what my next question is going to be, right? And you don't have to answer it.
Okay.
Is there any spirit guides around me? Did you see? Is anyone asking anything about me?
You mean like guys, or you mean like
No, I don't
your
know. Is there any spirits around me? See me? Wait, is there anyone around me?
let me see. Well, I would need to switch gears here for a moment
You
and see.
again, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. See if anything comes. Um,
And then we have to tell them to leave when we're done.
okay. Yeah. Uh, okay, so I do have a feeling that there are a few people around you. And one is a cousin, and another one is actually a younger person. I feel it might be something, it reminds me of a boy, but sometimes when they're young, I don't really get like a sense right away of their gender for some reason. Um, but there is like a sense of like a family close to you. So, I'm thinking like that you have quite a few people that passed already,
Hmm.
that belong to your family that are close to you. And like, especially there is a cousin or what I would identify as a cousin, and she feels like a woman to me. Did you have somebody you were close to?
Um, not as a cousin, as a woman, I can't think of
Okay.
um anyone like that. But I did
Mm.
have I had a psychic one time tell me that there was a relative that was with me and from a
Let
long
me
time
find
ago. Yeah,
pausing too far.
yeah, it was from a long time ago. That's
Right, yeah. And I feel that she's very close to you. So sometimes our past loved ones, they join the spiritual team that we have around us, like they're,
mhm.
join because they need, I mean, they signed up to help us.
Those that
So
they signed up. I must have a lot. I must have a big team. You know?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. As I said, like I have a sense that, there are quite a few people behind you. And this woman is kind of a little bit like taking the lead, and then like I would need to fully switch gears and to communicate and see what's coming. And I don't know if that's a container to do this right now.
Yeah, and it could be like I have a lot of aunts. I had a lot of aunts that had passed away as well. Like a lot that I was
Yeah,
close to.
right. Okay. Yes, it feels like a lot of family. That's the
Hmm.
impression I got.
Yeah.
Like people that were in your family, extended family, and they're all right behind you
Hmm.
right
All
now.
right. Well, thank you for that. So it's
Oh yeah.
nice to know that the family's around.
Oh yeah, for
Just don't
sure.
bother
There's a
me.
lot of, and
Uh,
this other lady that's kind of leading a bit the pack, I would say. She feels very strong and a little bit opinionated. Maybe somebody who, gives you like this, I would say,
sounds like my
strong
mother.
input. Maybe
That's funny.
like
All
giving
right.
you like these strong inputs that you have in your character. It feels
Yes.
it comes from her as
Yeah,
well.
that would be my mom. My mom was an extremely strong woman.
And it's from somebody coming,
Oh, my
being
grandmother too. Yeah, her mother was even more
right.
so.
So it feels
Yes.
like
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, coming down this line of female women in your family.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're
Wow.
welcome.
Elisa, so anything else that we can wrap around? Interesting though. This was a great podcast. You put a lot of interesting, stories to this podcast. And what else would you like to wrap in here before we head out?
Hmm.
Anything
I
more we'd like to share with us? Because you had a lot going on.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, as aside from inviting people to reach out if they have questions, if they want to go deeper into looking into their gifts, or wanting to connect with their past loved ones to
Mm.
receive support and maybe,
They can get a hold of you for that. And do you have a website? And if you
Yeah.
do, you can
Mhm.
tell me the website and then you can send it to me so we can put that on there. So if anyone wants to, you know, connect with their family members from that had passed or
Yeah.
whatever, you could help them with it would be great. Yeah.
Yes.
But what is the website? I'm just,
It's my full name. It's elisapalmahancock.com/en because it's the English portion of it.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. This
Yeah.
way, if they want to connect with you. And of course, once this podcast gets distributed or goes live, we'll put some information on there that they can get a hold of you. And
Great. Yes.
great. Talk to their family members as well. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Because sometimes, they might have pointers that we don't want to miss. And of
Well,
course, it's always our job to decide if we follow or not. But
yeah, that's a good point too, right there. Does anyone ever, did you ever hear something from someone and it actually made sense? Like, oh my
yeah.
God, good thing they told us that.
Yes, yes. And they were, yes, absolutely. The same lady I was telling you about before, one time I connected with the energy of her restaurant because they wanted to move. And I was like, I'm hearing here that this place is like a pot of gold and you're sitting on it. So they decided to stay and they had like way more years of, like growing and
Nice.
thriving. So, sometimes it can be something as simple as
Yeah.
this that makes you maybe rethink. And of course, the decisions is always ours because we have free will and we need to take responsibility of whatever we are told, whether it's coming from our father or it's coming from our guides, because we are living the life here. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to be responsible and make the decision in that sense and
Hmm.
always remind ourselves that we are in the game. And so, the decision comes down to us, but it's good to know, different aspects, I would say, so that we
Yeah.
consider everything.
Very nice. Very nice. Elisa, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the Storytime with Ellie podcast. And hopefully we can connect again sometime in the future.
Yeah, we would love that. Thank you.
Thank you.